Hi, this is Matt from Alternation. I have been asked to do a breakdown instructional guitar video here for the song So Good by Lincoln Brewster. And I've gotten some good responses from this church service we did at Family Worship Center at Pittsburgh, here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And some people are wanting to know how to play the song. I learned the song by ear, so I don't have any tabs or music sheets or anything like that. But hopefully this video will help you out. And you'll notice, first thing, I have a capo on the 5th fret, something that I don't do very often. If I were to write a song, I probably wouldn't do because I don't like using a capo, but the song calls for it, and Lincoln uses it, and I can tell by the way he's pedaling off of the G string and the D string, they're naturally higher up than they would be. So I have it on the 5th fret, which puts the guitar in the key of A instead of E, open E. The main shapes for the chorus that you're going to be using are basically like a G if you were to use, if you were back down here in your standard tuning of E. You're just kind of pretending this is where the guitar's starting and playing your G up here. And then if we were doing the chorus, you would move to a D shape. He does that. He does a adds his 4th finger, pulls it off, and kind of walks down that E string there. And then I move to an A minor shape, A minor 7 without the 3rd finger. And then I move to a C2 or a C add 9 shape, which is just like a G. You just move your top 2 fingers here down a set of strings. So the chorus would sound like 1, 2, 3. And he does a walk up from the A minor shape. And that's basically taking the open A string and going to what would be the 7th fret in actuality, and then building up to the 8th fret for the C2 position. So and that's how he ends the chorus. So I'll do that last part for you. So that's the way the chorus sounds. And we have the intro. That does a lot of pedaling off of the open G string. So it's almost like playing a power chord up here from, so you'd be playing the 10th fret on the D string, then use the 5th like a power chord shape. So that'll put you on the 12th fret on the G string. Those are your frets, but you won't be playing them together like that. So basically what I'm doing is taking the note from how it was there, open string, and then I'm using the 10th fret on the D string and doing the same thing. So if you listen to the song, you'll hear how he's doing that. And I always suggest, if that's a little bit tough for you, do that part. Don't move on. Don't try to play more of it until you're comfortable at a certain speed with that song. It doesn't have to be up to speed, but just play that pattern until it becomes comfortable, because a lot of the intro is just like that. You don't have to pick everything like I am. You can pull off. Actually makes it pretty easy to pull off with this capo because the strings have a little more tension, they're a little tighter. So you'd only be picking the first note on each string there. That one. And that one. So if that's a little easier for you to do, then by all means go ahead and do that. I prefer picking it for some reason. That's just my style. I get a little more control over the tone, I would say. But okay, and then it moves from the 12th fret on the G string down to the 10th fret, so you're now basically barring here. It's a 4th instead of a 5th. Then you're going for a major 3rd this time, which would be on the 9th fret G string. And it walks right back up to the 10th fret on the G string. So I'll play that super slow one time for you to see. And then up to speed. You hear it changes with the chords, so he plays that a couple times. So instead of doing this walk down, he's doing. So that would be, and these are all just the frets you're playing on the G string. So you have 12, then you can move down to 7 this time, and then you have 10 again. So that's going to sound like this, super slow. And remember, you're always pedaling off of that 10th fret on the D string. That's not going to change. And then again. So if I play the whole intro sequence there, all together, both parts, it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Band kicks in. He's going to change it. And right after that, he's doing a little higher up riff. He's pedaling from the 13th fret on the B string. It's a slide. Then he goes to the 5th, which is the 15th fret on the E string. And then right below that, a 4th, so that's the 13th fret on the E string. And then he does kind of a half bend back, so it would be going from the 12th to the 13th back to the 12th, but he's bending it. So in full, that last part. And that should sound pretty familiar to those that know the song. Then there's the solo portion. It's starting with a bar on the 12th fret. You're going from the B string down to the D string. Then he's adding on the 13th fret on the B string. So that time he lands on, well, it's within the bar, 12th fret on the G string. So this is how he starts off the solo. Up here on the G string, you're going up to the 17th fret on the G string. So that shape is 17, 16, 14, 16. So this solo in its entirety is based off of C Ionian, C major. I'll explain that. If you look at the shape, that's what this is all being based off of. Anything I do outside of that position is just octaves or different ways to play those notes within that scale. And after that, he does a pedaling run in the background, so you're constantly doing that off of the G string there, but he's picking notes in between each of those. And that's going to be starting on the 17th fret, 14th fret, 16th fret, 12th fret, back up to the 14th. That's the 9th fret there, or sorry, the 10th fret. And you can tell that some of them are played longer than others. Those last two, they're only played like that, whereas the other ones, they have 2 in between each of them. The last 2 only have 1 in between. He does a quick run here, which I had trouble kind of hearing at first, but this is as close as I got. And what that is, it's the same shape, thankfully, on each string. From the G, I'm playing the 10th, 9th, and 7th fret. Then the open G, which is stuck on the 5th fret because of the capo. Then the same exact thing on the D string, but played fast. Actually, I'm starting on the 9th fret and doing kind of a trill. So it's an up and back motion. When you play it fast, that's what it sounds like. And if that's tough for you, I would recommend just staying on the G for a while. Getting that fluid motion in your hammer-ons and pull-offs and the rotation of the wrist here. And again, it's quick, so being very precise and knowing these shapes very well before you go up to performance speed is key. So you don't have to play these at speed yet. You just learn them well at whatever speed you're comfortable at playing them, and that's kind of the key to building speed with anything. So then this is from the 8th fret, the 10th fret, and the 12th fret on the B string, and the same shape again on the E string, and then he resolves down to the 8th fret on the E string. So if I play that whole, well, both phrases, that's a comfortable speed, and if I were to play it at the performance speed, it's very quick, but as long as you're thinking ahead, you'll pretty much get it. This next part was the most difficult for me to play. I had to practice this quite a bit because I wasn't used to this type of thing. It's got like a back-picking kind of feel to it, but I'll break it down for you. So it's an ascending run. I'm starting from the 12th fret of the B string. Then I go down to the G string and play the 14th fret. So if I didn't break up the front and back and forward type thing, the whole scale itself would sound like this. And I'm grabbing the 15th fret there on the B string, same shape down here on the E. So that's the shape you're working with. Now it's just a matter of how you play that, the pattern. So if I play that real slow, get a good look at how my fingers are doing this. So that quick. And a picking technique to help that out is I'm starting on an upstroke, so that the next note will be a downstroke, and then an upstroke, down, up. And if you stick with that pattern and don't stray away from that, and if I exaggerate my picking here, you'll see. So I'm ending on an upstroke, but you know, at performance speed, that's not really. You can't do a big motion like that. It's covered in small motions. With any speed, you want smaller motions with your wrist and your arm. So when you play that, it's going to move into a shape. So it's sliding into that. Once you get up here to the 15th fret, I take the shape that I have, my first finger just basically moves up 1 fret from where it's at here on the 12th fret to the 13th fret. And now I'm going to do this pattern that keeps going back to the 13th fret here. And this is going to be the 17th fret the first time, back down to the 13th, then the 19th fret, and the 20th fret. And this is a bit of stretch. So if you have to, what you can do is take your thumb from being up top like this and move it forward, so your arm's coming toward the camera, so to speak. And you're going to resolve that at the end by right there is the last one you're going to play on the E string, and that's going to be the 15 to the 13th fret. And then he goes to the B string and plays the 17th and 15th fret to resolve that phrase. So again, into, if it doesn't line up, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you know that shape, you know the pattern, so as long as you get to where he's going on time, that will suffice, that will do. And then he does this. This is kind of a really cool ending. I love the way he does these little blues scale riffs. And again, this is based, and this is the first position pentatonic scale, the blues scale. And he, after that run that we just did, will do this. And that's basically just a walk down in the Ionian position, and so the frets will be 20, 19, 17. And don't be afraid to hesitate and give it that really soulful kind of feel. Give it a little tasteful vibrato. So he just descends on a blues scale right there, and that's after the. He goes like this. If you aren't familiar with the pentatonic pattern like that, in the first position, it's the 20th fret pulling off down to the 17th fret. Same thing on the B string. And then on the G string, it's going to be very, very similar, except instead of the 20th fret, you're going to the 19th. Okay, so that pattern is fairly simple, one that you can use a lot. He ends it right there when he gets down to the 17th fret on the G string. 19th fret, does a half bend up to the 20th, and then back down to the 19th. So right after that bend, he goes down to the B string, and that's the 20th fret on the B string. So second finger on the 19th fret, third finger right there on the 20th fret on the B string. And I'm using my second finger to grab that. Then my first finger comes down to the B string and grabs the 17th fret. So it's kind of like a circle going counterclockwise to me, if you're looking down at it. So the 20th fret's going to finish it off with a full bend up to the 22nd fret. I don't try to remember that whole segment, or my mind, I wouldn't be able to remember it. So what I do is I break it down into sections. The first being, once I'm done with that, my mind's moving on to the next part. Section 2. So that whole riff. And to emphasize that ending, it's not just a he bends up and he actually picks that when it's back down. So hopefully that helps. I'll quickly go over the solo again. So there you go, and don't be afraid to give it feeling, some emotion in it, and maybe hesitate just a second before you would hit a note. If your emotion drives you to play a certain way and to hesitate a second on that bend before you speed it up, go ahead and do that. There's nothing wrong with that. You actually hear Lincoln do that on the CD, on the song itself. So I hope that helps. Thank you for the awesome comments, and I really appreciate that. And if you want me to make more of these videos, feel free to leave me comments. My brother, my twin brother Mitch, the other Malik twin, he does the same thing. He could make one for you guys. But this is So Good from Lincoln Brewster. I'm Matt Malik from Alternation. Thank you very much.